Hello everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Jurassic World Rebirth Frenzy Pack Ceoptera. So, in case you guys saw my last review of the Real Feel Triceratops, I did get this figure alongside the Triceratops at Target, thanks to the Target deals that were going on, and I got both of those on 4th of July actually at Target. So, at the point of this video being posted, I hope you guys all had a good 4th of July. And yeah, we're going to take a look at this figure right here. Now, this is a brand new species that Mattel made from last year's Rebirth line. And knowing me, I like to get all of the different species that Mattel makes. Because, I don't know, I just like to collect all the different species. So this is definitely one I needed for my collection. A brand new pterosaur. I always like Mattel's pterosaurs. I know some people have problems with them because you can't really pose it a whole lot. But still, just for the figure itself, they are pretty cool to have. And this is actually the last of the Frenzy packs for the Rebirth line that I needed. So I'm really happy to finally be done with the Rebirth Frenzy packs, and now I can just move on with the and focus on the survival Frenzy packs, because there's a good handful that I'm still looking for. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the packaging. It's your standard Rebirth Frenzy pack packaging that we got here. You got the Rebirth logo right there, right underneath the wing, the nice red, black, and gray colors outlined in the box, and on the background you got a nice cliffside and some sky right there. Really nice, because it kind of represents, it's a cliffside. It's a lot of air for a lot of the pterosaurs to fly around, so that makes a lot of sense. Frenzy pack Ceoptera, and right underneath here you got the awesome Spinosaurus render right there, the Mattel logo, and then here on the back it says Ceoptera. Got some facts app information and a whole bunch of stuff down here. Jurassic World Rebirth, and then you got the others from this lineup. This is part of the Wave 2, I believe, for the Rebirth line. You got the Ceoptera, which now I have, and then all the other ones, the Bapiosaurus, the Archaeornithomimus, and the Mincaria, are all the ones that I've gotten before, and I've already reviewed all of them on the channel, so you can always check back on those if you guys want. But I'm really happy to finally have the complete wave, mostly because all of these consist of just brand new species, so I had to get them all. But I'm really glad to finally have all of the Frenzy packs from the Rebirth line. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the packaging. Not a whole lot of to really go over, because we've already gone over the packaging a lot previously. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a closer look at this new pterosaur. Alrighty, so here we have the Frenzy pack Ceoptera out of the box. And this is another great little pterosaur figure, I will say. I really do like the way this one looks. And yeah, I think Mattel did a pretty good job on this pterosaur. Now, cool thing enough, Ceoptera, I believe, was a pterosaur that lived during the Jurassic. I think it lived in the UK, I believe, during the Jurassic period. But interestingly, this pterosaur, I think, was officially named in 2024. Not sure if it was like early or mid 2024. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it's cool because this guy was named in 2024, and yet Mattel comes out with a figure of it in 2025, for the Rebirth line. So that is really cool. Maybe it was early 2024, because then they just, literally made a figure of that new pterosaur that was released. And Mattel has done this a couple of times already, where they just make a figure of a species that was like just discovered or just named or something like that. So that is really cool how Mattel kind of pays attention to, actual, paleontological discoveries and all that, and just makes a figure out of it. Like, that is really cool. I believe this is like the only Ceoptera figure out there. Again, I'm not 100% sure on that. But still, I think it's really cool how Mattel did that by making a figure of pretty much a newly discovered pterosaur, or a newly named pterosaur, I should say. So that is really cool how Mattel did that. And overall, based on the images I've seen of, other artist interpretations of Ceoptera, this one is pretty faithful to those designs, I would say. It definitely has some, differences in terms of design. That's definitely like, Mattel's creative choices going in it. But the overall like look and silhouette of it, they definitely took inspiration from actual, I guess actual looks of how people kind of describe Ceoptera to be, and that being like this really cool unique crest on the head right here, which again is pretty pretty accurate. And it's got tiny little teeth, which again, pretty accurate as well. So that looks really good. The head here, looks great. I like the way the crest looks. It looks like there's like this really big, long, like almost Parasaurolophus looking crest that kind of extends up from just above where the nose is, but then has like this other fleshy attachment beneath that, forming together one big large crest, which looks really good. Nice little detail on there. The rest of the skull looks good too. The little nostrils right there. Nice little texturing on the little beak itself, and the eyes look really good as well. I really do like the way the teeth look. They look really nice and tiny, nice and sharp looking. But yeah, they look really nice the way how they're sculpted in, and the inside of the mouth, the tongue looks good. The little gum flaps right there, jaw tendons, whatever, look really good as well. On the underside of the jaw, nice, line texturing going on there, and some more texturing here at the bottom, which looks really good. Like I said, I think pretty sure Mattel captures a pretty good likeness to Ceoptera. And then here at the neck, you got some nice amount of scaling here at the top of the neck. Very tiny, fine-looking scales, which looks really good. Some nice little skin folds here along the side of the neck right there, and some more of that cool lined skin texture on the underside. And then taking a look at the underside of the body first, you got some really nice, little texturing of the skin going out throughout the entire body. Some kind of, some muscles kind of flexing through the skin right there, which looks really nice as well. But yeah, just a nice, scale detail, not scale detail, skin detail throughout the rest of the body. You can see like its little chest kind of pokes out pretty, a lot right there, which is pretty interesting. I don't think it had this in real life, but still it's a pretty interesting looking part of the design, but it is what it is. And then moving on to the back of the tail, you got some nice amount of texturing in the skin going down the tail. Some nice little line texturing right here, and going onto the tip of the tail, nice little texturing, all throughout the tail, which is the tail is actually very thin on this one, which I do like. That's pretty cool. And you got a really cool looking little, I don't even know what you even call these little structures. Just this little structure at the end of the tail, which I do see a lot of the paleoart representations of Ceoptera having this little, attachment at the end of the tail. So that again is pretty accurate for what we know. So that is pretty cool. I really like the detailing for the little structure, these little line looking rods or whatever you want to call it at the end of this little structure right here, which looks really nice. I really do like the way it looks. And then moving on to the top of the body, the top of the body is just covered in really great looking scale work. You got a lot of like, cool, muscle kind of definition throughout the top of the body right here, which looks really nice. And it's covered in these tiny little scales, as well as some like bigger ones kind of sprinkled out throughout the body. And they're just kind of like randomly sprinkled. So that looks really good. And I really like the way the scales look. It's not like super flat and organized as like other figures, but it has like that really cool, unique look where it's just kind of random, kind of like this jaggedy, messy arrangement of scales, which is pretty cool. I really do like how that looks. So really nice there. Some more tiny scales going down the rest of the tail, and then it kind of fades into like that lined texturing that we got on the tail, which we've gone over already. So really cool there. Moving on to the legs. The legs look really nice as well. Nice amount of muscle definition through the legs themselves. You can see it's covered in like this little lined texturing. And then we get on to the actual feet. You got a nice little dew claw right there, which I'm not even sure if that's accurate. I don't think this little pterosaur had a dew claw, and I actually didn't even notice that till just now. So that's very interesting how it has like a tiny little dew claw on it. So very interesting little choice for Mattel to add right there. But the rest of the feet, though, again, nice amount of detail for the rest of the feet, as you can see. And then the claws themselves are actually very sharp looking. I really do like that, how Mattel made them really pretty sharp. They don't actually feel sharp, but they look really sharp. Which gets the job done. Shows you that this guy had like tiny little sharp claws, which a lot of these little pterosaurs do have. But yeah, really nice detail. You got a nice little other little digit right there before these little larger ones, but very interesting to add like a little dew claw to it. Same thing could be applied on the other side. Really nice looking sharp little claws right there. So the feet and legs look really nice. Moving on to the arms, we'll take a look at the underside first. The arms look really nice and long too. Nice big long arms on top of the little extra finger right here. It's a really big wingspan for this little pterosaur, which I do like. But yeah, nice amount of detailing in the little muscles through the arms themselves, you know, musculature and whatnot. Nice detailing here. I like these little, you know, just sprinkled on, you know, larger like scales here towards this part of the arm. And then some more line texturing throughout the rest of the arm. And then here at the little hands. The hands look really good. Very big too compared to the rest of the body. Really long fingers too. Or at least long up here, kind of short down here. So very interesting design. And the claws here look very sharp as well, which is really nice. I love how Mattel is able to give us some sharp looking claws without actually having them be sharp. So that looks really good. And you got the extra finger, you know, the fourth finger kind of extending out this way, which looks really good. Nice, you know, kind of a rough texture for that as well. You got some more like those little scales kind of sprinkled on this part of the arm. And this really cool little, like little spike kind of jutting out from this part of the arm, which a lot of the pterosaurs have, which, you know, the membrane would be stressed upon, but it's a lot more prominent on this figure, giving it like it's actually looking like it's supposed to be an actual spike, which, you know, for Ceoptera, I don't think is very true, but still it is a really cool, interesting design choice for sure for this pterosaur. Then moved on to the wings. The wings have like overall like, they're really nice, you know, rough little texture throughout the entire surface of the wing, which looks really nice. You got some sprinkled little scales going on right here, tiny scales right there, and you got some little pebble looking scales that are kind of sprinkled along this part of the wing as well. It's got some little ones here along the arm, so really cool. And you got a lot of cool looking veins sprinkled on the wing themselves, which is really cool. I really like the way that looks. It's giving kind of really cool looking look for the wing. You can even see this wing has some damage on it. It's got some little scratches here on the membrane. It's even kind of torn right there, which actually the other side does not have that. So that is really cool how there's like a difference in the wings. You know, because in nature, not everything's going to be fully perfect. So there's going to be some damage to it. So that looks really cool. I like how one has scratches and the other one doesn't. And the other wing themselves looks really good as well. Here on the underside, you know, a lot of great detailing for the arm, like I said. You got some nice little, like, almost like ridge plate looking scales right here along the arm. And that kind of continues down the little extra finger right here, which is pretty interesting. I really do like that. You can see some more scaling, the little spike thing right there, the little membrane attached. On the underside, it's pretty much the same thing as the top side. It's got that nice little rough texturing going on there, and they're really nice looking veins that are sculpted into the wing, which look really good. And also there's the scan code right there, and the little Jurassic logo right there. So yeah, the sculpt work and the detail on these tiny little figures is really good. So Mattel did an excellent job on this little Ceoptera figure right here. Now for colors, I really do like the way the colors look. Again, very basic, but it works so well for this little figure. Mattel likes to do that. They may choose like their very simple color scheme, very simple colors, and they may apply it very simply as well, but they do it in a way where it actually feels very natural, you know, very believable in a way. Sometimes they can do that. This one is definitely one of those cases where it just feels very believable. The entire body's molded in like this, maybe in like a very pale mustard color, maybe a bit more of a beige color from what I can see, and that pretty much covers the entire figure. You got like this very lighter, much lighter shade than what we got here for the rest of the body for the lower jaw, which, you know, would have been cool to see a little bit of that here on the underside of the body as well, but, you know, it is what it is. And the teeth are painted in a much more of a whitish beige color, which actually look really good on this one for the most part. So I really do like that, and it highlights the teeth very well, having them be like a different shade and all that. So yeah, apologize for all that noise happening in the neighbor's house across the way. The inside of the mouth, Nice pinkish color for the tongue and the little jaw tendons. Sadly, no paint for the roof of the mouth right there. I really do like the bright green eye. It really highlights and it pops really well against the rest of the colors of this figure. And the black pupil looks really good as well. So I really do like the way the eyes look. And you got like a dark green for the crest, which is really cool how they give different colors for the crest because it kind of highlights it. And it shows that, you know, some crests might have been brightly colored in life anyway for pterosaurs. So that is really cool to give a different color for the crest. And it looks really nice. I really like the different color for the crest. And then the only other colors we got is like this purplish blue color kind of splotched onto the edges of the wings right here. Kind of splotched up against the top right here, which looks really nice. I really like how it looks like that. And you get a bit more of like this beige color kind of sprinkled into the purple as well, to kind of give it a bit more of like a complex, you know, naturalistic look to it, which is really nice. So I really like the way the colors look on the wings themselves. And sadly, we don't really get any of that on the underside, which is, you know, Mattel does that a lot with their pterosaurs. So yeah, colors are really good on this one. Now for articulation, you got a articulated jaw, which opens up pretty nicely, and it closes very nicely as well. Interesting, there is no neck articulation. I mean, I could try, but it feels very stuck in place, so I don't want to force it. But that's very interesting that there's no neck articulation on this one. The legs here are actually all on one hinge, so they can move at the same time, just forward and backwards. You can make it like sit down if you really want to, which is pretty interesting. And then it can extend back this way in a flying position, so that looks nice as well. The tail too, there's like a little swivel right here. I'm not sure if it's supposed to spin, but it feels like it's just the same as the neck where it's not supposed to move, so I'm not going to force it. But I also like how the tail is made of a flexy, you know, plastic material, so you can kind of make it the little tail piece bend, which is pretty cool. Now the wings themselves, the wings can go down about that far, so you can't really get down too far on this figure, but there is some movement for sure, and they can go up about that far, so you get some good movement with the wings going up and down and all that. And then they can also swivel 360, you know, the same thing is applied with the other side of the wing as well. And that's basically it for the articulation. You know, these little frenzy packs, they're very basic in a lot of ways, but I really like these figures, these smaller figures, these smaller species, because there's just a lot of cool things Mattel packs into these tiny little figures, and I really do enjoy collecting all the different species of these. So yeah, very basic, but it's a very great figure in my opinion of the Ceoptera. Now starting off with comparisons, here it is next to a human figure. We just got a random Owen figure right here, and this is where the accuracies kind of start to plummet. This is not accurate right here, and that's the size, and that happens a lot with these frenzy pack figures. Ceoptera, based on what I've seen on the internet, is a very tiny pterosaur, very, very, very small. So it was nowhere near this size for sure. So the size compared to a human is not accurate in this case. So, because this is a very big pterosaur, and I know for sure Ceoptera was not this big. So, very interesting to see a giant Ceoptera next to a human figure. Alrighty, so I believe Ceoptera is part of, I don't know what the group is called, but I think it's part of the same group as another pterosaur called Darwinopterus, I believe is what it's called. There is no other pterosaurs like that from Mattel, as far as I'm aware. So I can't really compare it with like other members of the same species, but I can compare it to some other smaller pterosaurs. I decided to throw in a Dimorphodon and the Rhamphorhynchus only because they are similar, only for having the cool little structure at the end of the tail. So I might as well, you know, why not just compare it to those two? You know, we got the little Dimorphodon right here with its little, you know, structure at the end of the tail. And then you got the tiny little Rhamphorhynchus, which also has a little structure at the end of its tail as well. So, you know, really cool to kind of compare all these different, you know, species of pterosaurs in comparing, like, you know, similar structures and all that. So, yeah, Mattel likes to give us a whole bunch of, you know, different species of pterosaurs, and I'm glad to have them all. So all these look really nice together. Alright everyone, so that's about to wrap it up for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. For my final thoughts of this figure, It's a really nice looking figure. It's a nice species. I think it's really cool how Mattel made a figure of a pretty much of a newly described or named species. So that's really cool how they did that. The sculpt is really good, very faithful to what we know of Ceoptera. And I really do like the detail in the sculpt, and I like the, the colors themselves. So it's a really nice little figure. And if you're someone that likes to collect all the different species, obviously I recommend collecting this one, just to have it. But yeah, it's a very nice little species, and I'm glad to have it in my collection. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again for the next video.